Welcome to the third part of my small video series, which is all about the benefits of horse riding, national level competitions, the success formula, which we have covered in the part 2. So if you have missed the success formula and the chance of you winning a competition, please skip back to the chapter of the JNEC or the national level competitions and how to make the dream of your gold medal at a national event come true. And this is now all about the last chapter is your own horse and the part of getting the horse of your dreams and hopefully your budget as well. So when we get through this, you should ask yourself 3 questions first, and that is, what is your goal? Let's say, what is your goal in the next 2 to 3 years? You might have as a big dream going to Olympics, and going to Olympics might be a plan which goes extended to 2 to 3 years. So just what is your goal in the next 2 to 3 years? You say, I am 16 years old, so that means I'm in the junior category. My goal is to win a national medal or to win multiple national medals in jumping and dressage and maybe even in eventing. And that could be like a feasible goal if you know that now and you have a few years to work towards that, and you will have a good chance to achieve. So look at the midterm goal, what it is. Then how much time do you have? And that's important in terms of how much time do you have to practice every week, in terms of looking at your commitment for your studies, for your education, for other sports you might be doing, for commitments you have with your family. So how much time in a week you have, and to train, because you should be, if you have your own horse, I would say the minimum you should expect is 3 times per week. You have to practice. If you cannot practice 3 times per week, I would highly recommend you not to lease a horse and maybe revisit your goals, because then you might not land up where you want to land up. But if you can start with 3 times a week, I think that's a good commitment, and that's the right way to start. And how much time do you have in terms of years? There are people who are 20 years old and they want to compete in the junior national championships and win the gold medal, because otherwise you're going in the senior categories. There's much more competition happening then. So you might want to use your time effectively, and you have maybe only 1 year left to do that, or you know you're going abroad in another 1 or 2 years time, so you really want to put in the effort for that 1 year and do the maximum possible for that 1 year, for that 1 season you have. And the faster you want to get the results, the more investment and the more effort you need to put inside. So what I had, for example, with my horse, I got my horse when I was 12 years old, and I had a lot of big success 3-4 years later, but it took me these 3-4 years in order to get trained with that horse, and I had no chance competing against anybody after 1 or 2 years of training. It took me more time to train my horse. And if you have not heard the story of my horse, go back to part 1. So how much time do you have? And the last question is, how much budget do you have? So budget is always a big concern. Obviously, everybody wants to get it for 0 budget, which might not be possible, but there's something which can be worked out. So I'm going to give you some rough numbers that you can get some ideas about what is the budget required for your horse. The big question, thoroughbred or warm blood? So thoroughbreds are usually racehorses. They are bred to perform at the highest speeds for a course of 2 to 3 kilometers. So they are fast sprinting horses. They are bred since decades and a long years, since generations, to breed the fastest horses. So their skills are in racing, their skills are not necessarily in dressage or show jumping. But these horses can be retrained. They can be retrained to do a good elementary dressage. Let's say 65% would be a really nice score if you can reach that at the national level, 65% in a dressage competition with a thoroughbred, or even, might be even a few percentages higher, but that's what you can expect roughly from a thoroughbred. And they are also good for jumping courses if they are well retrained and if they have a good character up to, I would say, a meter level competitions. That's like the gap when you go from children one where you still see a lot of thoroughbreds in there going also very competitively, but then when you go to the juniors category, when the courses are 105 and the jokers might be 115 or even higher, then you might land up with only warm bloods at the top. So generally, thoroughbreds are a good start if you buy your first horse, and they can come at a budget of somewhere between 3 to 10 lakhs. There are people also who get gifted thoroughbreds. And a lot of people come very happily and tell me, I have gotten a gift from my grandfather or from somebody else in the family, and they gift me a thoroughbred. That might not be the right horse you want to get. And I'll come to that later. The monthly costs for a horse are quite high. So I would suggest you definitely get a retrained thoroughbred which has already competed on that level which you want to do. So if you want to take a thoroughbred which is fresh from the race course, you need to calculate roughly 1 to 2 years to really get that horse into the competition circle, and you might have a few falls in between in order to get there, but falls are part of riding anyway. But be clear when you get a thoroughbred to get a well-trained thoroughbred. It's a good start for many people. It's a really good start to own your own horse. You can build up a very strong relationship with that horse, and you will get to know the pleasures of owning your own horse. It's something fantastic, and spending time with your own horse is something undescribable. I have a few of them, and I really love to spend time with them. So it's a good choice, but be clear also what you can expect from them. The next choice is a warm blood. Warm blood are usually sport horses which are bred for dressage or jumping or both. So you need to look in for what is that horse bred, for what is that horse trained. A lot of horses are trained in both dressage and jumping. Some horses are trained only in jumping, some horses are trained only in dressage. So when you get that horse, look into the competition results again, what that horse has done earlier in its life. And these horses are usually the horses who go up to Asian Games, up to Olympics. You see only sport horses in there, especially for dressage and show jumping. And it's the best choice if you want to win a national medal. So the budget you can calculate is roughly, if you get a very good deal, or if you maybe get a horse which is not as well trained, the lower end of the range would be around 20 lakhs for a healthy horse. If you get offered a horse below 20 lakhs, which is a warm blood, it's either an untrained or barely trained horse, or it will have some health issues. And on the higher range, we talk about roughly 60 lakhs. That's roughly the range I would recommend anybody to buy a horse. You can spend crores of rupees on a horse. So you can, if you go to Europe or if you look up worldwide what Olympic level horses are costing, what Asian Games level horses are costing, they cost a crore upwards easily. You can go up to 5 crores if you want, and maybe even beyond that. But that's, I think, not necessary, especially if you talk at a national level competition. If you're then going to have a national level medals and your targets are to go to Asian Games, then you might need to look at that. But in the beginning, I would say look at a budget of 20 to 60 lakhs. That is something where you get a very decent horse for, and you can do really well with that. So what are the other costs involved in horses? So it's not only that you need to buy your own horse. So it's not like buying an apartment where you say, okay, I put down the money. Even for an apartment, you have to pay a monthly maintenance normally. And for the horses, that monthly maintenance works out quite expensive because it takes a lot of effort to stable them, feed them, groom them, have the farrier there, have the basic vet costs. So roughly monthly maintenance costs with a horse, you land up somewhere between 20 to 50,000 rupees. Then you have the other factor of training and coaching, depending on the center and the number of classes you're going to take. And if the coach is also taking care of training your own horse, you land up with an additional 20 to 40,000 rupees a month. And then you have another cost factor, which is going to competitions. So traveling costs for going to competitions, for looking after your horse over there, giving special supplements, and the whole competition circuit will normally cost you somewhat. Depends again how far you're going to travel. If you travel from Chennai to Delhi for some big competitions, you might spend more than a lakh per show. If you're going locally somewhere, it could be as low as 20,000 rupees. So be clear that also competitions are going to cost you money, and that's the rough idea I want to give you if you own your own horse. A good solution could be that you're going to share a horse with another rider who is in a different age category. I see that can work out very well if you are open to this and if you want to save some money and still get very good results. Splitting a horse half-half, if you're working in the same club, if you're living in the same region, and if you're good friends and you have a good base with each other, then this might be a good option to buy a horse together with somebody or buy two horses together in order to increase your chances. Now, how do you select the right horse? The right horse, and what is the right breed, what is the right age, gender, and so on. Just to give you a really, again, a very rough idea. And there are a few things which fall out of the usual, and these horses can still be good options, but in general, what I'm talking about is like 90% of the performances and of the market would be in that way. So best for dressage and show jumping are German sport horses, or French warm bloods, which are the Selle Francais, or the Westphalian, or the KWPN, which are the Dutch horses. So in each country in Europe, you usually have your own warm blood breed, which sometimes are good for dressage and jumping. Sometimes, like Zanger's Heide, is especially horses for jumping. And then there are horses which are mostly for dressage as well. You have, for example, Spanish horses, which are mostly for baroque dressage. It's a different thing of dressage. Some of them go also for the regular dressage work. They are very nice horses to ride, and you might just fall in love with them. Be clear what what results has that horse gotten in competitions in Europe, and then you can even look at such horses. And I would recommend for any person below the age of 18 years that for any rider below that age, that you take a horse which is a little bit matured. So I would not start with a 3 or 4 year old horse. That's when they start training the horses, and horses usually retire by the age of 18 to 20 years if they are in good health. Sometimes earlier, sometimes a few years later, but latest by 22 years old, you will have to retire that horse. So I would say we are looking at an age span between 6 to 13 years old. If you're importing a warm blood, or if you're getting a warm blood, even if you're buying a warm blood, there are horses within India. Maybe some of them are even bred in India. Maybe some people will offer you a 2-year-old horse. Be clear that this needs quite a serious amount of training before it can perform. And if it's an older horse, please be very clear on checking the health of the horses, because a lot of horses throughout the years develop problems. It's like with older people. As we get older, we might not be able to run a marathon anymore or sprint and compete with others. So look at the health records and let the veterinarian check up the horse as well. Then I would recommend to go for a mare or a gelding. Don't go for a stallion. I think that's only for very experienced riders, if you can handle their temperament. The training level for horses which you get a warm blood from Europe, it's quite simple. They have a proven track record of competitions. So you can always ask, you can even, for most of the horses, you find it online. For most of European horses, you find everything online with searching their name. So you can find the proven track record of the competitions they have done. And I would recommend to buy a horse which is 1 or 2 levels higher than you. So that means if you are in a children 1 category, where you are jumping a horse, I think 90 centimeter it is roughly, and you are doing dressage on a very basic level, walk, trot, canter, no special exercises, I would go for a horse which can be suited well for a juniors category, or suited well even for a young riders category. So if you look at the young riders category, then you look at a horse which can jump easily and clear a meter 15 course. So you don't need to look at a horse which is jumping courses of a meter 40 levels. That might be pushing it, and these horses are just very sensitive. So if you are not planning to compete on a meter 40 level within the next 2 or 3 years, I would not recommend it. Again, for the dressage, young riders has a shoulder in, simple change of leg. You might not need a horse which does a flying change, which is a Grand Prix level horse. You might not need that, and you do not need to spend on that level. And these horses might even not get you in the results, because they are just sometimes very sensitive and difficult to handle for amateurs. So I would recommend buy the horse 1 or 2 levels higher than you. And then it comes to test riding. I mean, every rider knows every horse feels different, and you need to just find the horse which is suited best to yourself. So some people like horses which are going on their own, which you don't have to push. Some horses are very easy to collect, for example. Some horses are so easy, and they give you that feeling of flying over the jumps. Yeah? You can ride without reins over the jump, and you will still feel like you're very comfortable. So it really depends on you, what you want, and you have to try it yourself in order to be 100% sure. The next best option is have your coach try the horse and tell you a little bit about it, but the best option is to try it yourself. The health of the horse, let an independent vet of your choice do a pre-purchase checkup. In Europe, there are very strict rules about that. Even if you buy that horse, there are contractual rules about special diseases the horse can't have and so on. But let an independent vet check it up, not the vet which goes there every day to that stable. They might be a little lenient in hiding some of the health aspects about the horse. So get an independent vet and do a pre-purchase checkup for you, and tell you about the x-rays and a lot of things you can see when the vet does a pre-health checkup. Then about import and transportation. So to get a horse to India, you need a special license, you need an approval from the Equestrian Federation of India, and you need to have an import-export license, and you need to finally get an approval of the special departments, and only after that you can import the horse to India. The transportation for the horse, depending on if you send a horse alone or with 3 others or 2 others. So 3 horses do normally come in a container. So roughly calculate a transportation cost of 5 to 10 lakhs for a horse. And then you are good to go. So this is all about horses. And I show you, yeah, so how to get started. I would everybody recommend, if you're interested in a horse, if you're interested in buying a warm blood, check out the ehorses.com. You'll find I think more than 15,000 horses in whole of Europe. You can get an idea of the prices of the sellers, of how the horses look, of the videos of their performances, and so on. So just have a look at that. If you're looking for a thoroughbred, just ask in your club where you can get a thoroughbred and what would be the right way for you. If you have any questions, please reach out to me, and I hope this video was useful to you and give you a rough idea about national championships and the benefits of horse riding and the success formula. I will want to visit this back now. I show you the success formula once again, because I think that's just the most important thing, that you are clear on this, and the more clarity we have ourselves, the better results we are going to get. So I wish you all the best, and I hope you just remember the winning formula, which is this. So let me put this on the screen fully. So it is the horse rider's experience. How much time can you get in the saddle? It is all about the horse quality, and it's about coaching together, like your horse, the rider, and the coach together. How much time do you actually spend on this? And if you have these 3 factors right, you have a really, really good chance to succeed in the big level competition. So I wish you all the best for that, and let me know if this video was helpful to you. And if you have some ideas and you say, no, Isabelle, this is not right at all, please send me a message, and I would love to get your feedback on that. Thank you very much, and all the best. Bye bye.